Hey y'all, and welcome back. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to check out another one of my videos. And in today's video, we are going to be diving into brushes, specifically small detail type of brushes. I got this comment recently on a tiny brushes video that I did a couple years ago asking for an update. And I was like, you know what, let's sit down and go through my brushes. This is not the only case. I have two of these for my eyeshadow brushes. I know, it's crazy, but I have two of these and I figured we could pick through them and I could share with you guys my favorite ones, share with you guys the style, why I like them, who they're by, and whatnot, and I can do a little updated video on my tiny brushes. So if that sounds good to you, let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so here are half of my brushes, and as I said, we're just going to pick through them, and I'm going to share with you guys some favorites. First one here is going to be the Blend Bunny Cosmetics B1 brush. Looks like this. It is a fantastic detailed little brush. I mean, you can see compared to my hand. And I also was going to grab a Sigma E40 brush. I do like the Sigma E40 brush, but for my preferences when it comes to detail blending, I like it smaller, but I do know so many people have heard about the E40, so I feel like it'll be a good comparison if you're wanting to kind of figure out size-wise. So that is what I say, the Blend Bunny B1 brush. It's a nice detailed little blending brush. Works great for my inner corner, working with detailed colors, trying to work two colors in together without making a huge muddy mess. This brush is fantastic. I have several of those B1 brushes. Another absolutely solid brush is the Sigma E33 brush here. This is it compared to an E44. As you can see, it's just a little bit more detailed, and it just makes working with colors, especially if you're wanting to use many colors in one area or ombre and get a really nice transition between colors. These tiny blending brushes that are nice and fluffy but still small are just amazing. They're game changers. So I really like this E33. I pick it up and use it all the time when I'm wanting something, I'm wanting to work with a bunch of colors and blend them all seamlessly. The E40 is great when I just have like one or two colors in my outer crease that I want to blend in, but this little guy, E33, fantastic. I have several of these. They're just soft. They're a little tiny bit stiff, but honestly not really stiff. And if you want a comparison to the one we just talked about, the B1, it's a little bit longer, so it's a little bit more flexible, whereas the B1 from Blend Bunny Cosmetics is a little bit more stiff, not in a bad way, but it's just shorter bristles. But there are those two. They're very similar. Next up, we're going to talk about the E38, which is this brush right here. And, oh wait, wrong brush I picked up. Let's grab the E40. Sorry, thought I picked up the E40 to compare it. So this is the E38, and then on bottom is the E40. And as you can tell, they're super close. However, I like the E38 more than the E40 because as you can see, it's just a little bit more controlled, a little bit more closed and dense to the bristles, so you have more control when you're blending. As I said with the E40, it's just a little too large for me and the detail work that I like to do. So this E38 is honestly, when I want a big blending brush, I tend to prefer the E38. I have a couple E40s, but as I said, I really don't use them unless I'm literally doing like two colors, one on my outer corner and one working up into the crease. That's when I'll get something really big like this. But for basically everything else, if I want a large blending brush, I'm going to go for the E38. That's kind of the largest that I would prefer to work with, is about this size, and it is just fantastic. It's really nice, soft. A Sigma quality is amazing, but I just love this shape specifically for a large blending brush. I'm going to try not to talk about brushes that I don't think you can get anymore. So like Luna Magic, I'm pretty sure it came in a set, but I don't think it's available anymore. And I think this is a Sonia Kashuk brush. Again, not available. They're very similar to the E40, but like I said, I'm going to try to only talk about brushes I can recommend that you can still purchase, and we're focusing on tiny blending brushes. Okay, another staple, I'm going to get a little bit closer because this is pretty small in my collection, is the E36 brush. This is amazing for those really detailed looks that you want to really put a color in one specific area but still want to have the ability to blend it out. This is fantastic. It kind of reminds me of, what brush is that from Sigma? The E33 brush. As you can see, they're very similar, but it's just a wee bit smaller, and it just works that much better to really get in there and just put color in one area and then be able to blend it out. I have so many of these brushes specifically in my collection, and I use them all the time. All right, I'm going to try to hold these a little bit closer to the camera just to make sure it's focusing well, that you guys can really see the detail. This is the What's Up Beauty R105 brush. This is amazing for outer corner work. Nothing too small because it's a rather large brush. You could also use it for matte, like all over the lid, but I like this because it's got a nice taper to the sides. So as far as picking it up and then tapping it on your like outer corner and really pressing it in there and then being able to use the edge to blend, it's just a great 2-for-1. And it's the type of brush, the shape, the cut, the taper that I prefer to use on my outer corner. So I use this one a lot for that purposes on the outer corner. But the quality of this brush is amazing. I absolutely love it. I own several of them. I love any time I get to use a What's Up Beauty brush. They're really nice. They are more expensive, but in my experience, they are worth the money. It's not like you're getting a cheap product and paying a lot. It is a very nice, well-made brush. And I'll go ahead and show you guys this other brush. This is the R106 brush. Very similar to what I just showed you, but it's a little bit flatter. So again, a brush I tend to use on my outer corner, but if I'm doing an all matte look, something like this is great on for all over my lid, especially if I'm doing like a cut crease and I want precise placement of that matte shade. This does a great job. Can I speak? This does a great job. It's fantastic for packing on the color. This brush, as I was just talking, is really great for blending it. This one doesn't do as much blending. You can do a little bit because there is still a taper. So if I want to like pack it on the outer corner and then just kind of start fuzzing out the edges, it does really well, but it's just a solid brush. This type of brush is, as I said, something I always like to have for my outer corner and placing shadow, and it's one of my favorites that I'm always getting dirty because I'm always opting to use this. So it's another great brush from What's Up Beauty. Okay, so let's keep talking about What's Up Beauty. This is one of their larger blending brushes. I'm going to go ahead and compare it for you guys to the E40 brush just to see the size difference. Very, very, very similar, but there's more of a taper to the What's Up Beauty one, which I like this taper. I don't love how the Sigma E40 is a little bit more, what do you call, hard cut. It doesn't have a nice taper to the sides. So I do love that with the What's Up Beauty is you get a really nice taper to the bristles, and that just makes it so much easier when we're talking about blending out shadows and whatnot, getting to be able to like dab this into a shadow and really blend and brush around and blend out a shadow. So it's a great little brush, more of a larger blending brush, as I said, but still a solid one. Did I even tell you the number? This is R103. Sorry, but this is another great brush from What's Up Beauty. Okay, I don't love the quality of Morphe brushes. I just feel like they're not as nice of the bristles, but if you are wanting the shape and style of the E36, but maybe just can't do the price tag right now, the Morphe M562 brush is honestly like a dupe to it. It's just a tad bit like fluffier, I guess, or not as controlled as the Sigma, but as you can see, that's so similar. They do the same job, but just when I'm using it on my eyelid, this is just not as nice. The Morphe one is just not quite as nice and soft as the Sigma one, and like lasting wise, I just feel like it's getting a little bit rougher the more I'm washing it and stuff, whereas the Sigma is still as good as the day I pulled it out. So quality wise, I feel like the Morphe isn't as good, but like I said, if you're wanting something like the Sigma but just can't buy Sigma right now, the Morphe, the M562 is great, does the same job. Okay, little packer brushes are so important, either for packing a specific color on a specific spot, can I talk, sorry, or using on my lower lash line. I use these brushes a lot, and this is the Blend Bunny Cosmetics B3. This is a great, fantastic little brush. It is so soft. I love the quality of her brushes. They're very luxurious feeling, and they don't break down quickly with time. I think I've owned this like over a year, maybe even 2 years, washed it many times, and it's still just as soft as the day I pulled it out. I love that about it, but it is great for just, picking up that color and applying it in a very minute, specific spot. It does great work, great for under my eye. It is, because it's so soft too, it also feels really nice under my eyes. I don't know if you've ever used those cheaper brushes that are like great for blending out, but it feels like you're poking your eye the whole time. These are not like that. I really do like this B3. It's a great little brush. Okay, another brand I love for tiny detail brushes is Give Me Glow. This is the G1012 brush, and it is great for that little packer brush. The brush we just talked about, as you can see, this one is even smaller than that, and so if if I'm working with a lot of colors, or again, I need something on my lower lash line that I want to like feel nice, this is a great brush to go to because it's so small. It can really just place that color where you want, and because it has that dome tapered shape, it's fantastic to blend out. And yeah, just another solid brush. The quality of Give Me Glow brushes I've been super happy with. I've owned them well over a year at this point, maybe even 2. You guys know me in time. Everything runs together. But I've owned it for a long time, and they hold up so well. I've had no issues with any of these brushes. I should have said this before, but I'm sorry if my hands are rough. They're very dry from the weather and from just farm life. So yeah, they're cut, they're scratched, they're a little rough around the edges, but sorry about that. We're talking about brushes here. This is the next brush. It is the Smashbox Contour Shadow Brush. This brush I have specifically owned, I think 6 years, if not more. I had these originally sent to me from Smashbox when I was living in Virginia, which feels like a lifetime ago, but I think it was, my son is 5, and it was when we were living there. He was born down here. So yeah, like 6 years. This brush feels just as good as the day I got it. I've never had any issues with the ferrule of it. Nothing. Not even the paint or anything's having any issues. This brush is so nice. But specifically this, why I like this brush is because it's specific, or it's like unique in that shape. I don't have a ton like this that are quite this long, quite this flat, yet still got a nice taper to it and has a nice depth to the tip. So it's just a versatile brush. I use it for the outer corner. I use it to blend shades. I use it to pack on shades. I use to, you know, diffuse shades. This brush is also small enough I can use on my lower lash line. It's just all around a fantastic brush, and as I said, it holds up really, really well. I really like how skinny it is here. Yeah, just everything about this. This is the type of shape I love to have in my collection, and I use it all the time. And speaking of that type of shape that's really unique, and I don't have a ton of brushes like it, the Singe Beauty E01 brush is very similar, just a little bit smaller, which you guys know, I love small brushes. So this is another brush that I use all the time. Here it is compared to the Smashbox. You can see it's almost like half the size, but still has that thinness to it, the nice taper to it. The Singe Beauty brush has a little bit more of a taper down the side, and actually also comes to a point, which just adds to the versatility of this brush. It is fantastic. Also quality, I love the yellow. You guys know me, I love yellow, so I love her brushes that they're yellow and they stand out in my collection. But the quality of her brushes is also super nice, very soft, and also with this brush as well, I can use it on my lower lashes. It feels really nice, it's not scratchy, it blends beautifully. It's just a fantastic brush. I can't say enough good things about this E01 brush. Okay, moving along, another great brush for like a bigger blending brush, but that's not too crazy big and works for my eyelids, is the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A502 brush. This is a great little brush. Again, one of those types that is just fantastic for blending out the inner corner or the outer corner and just like diffusing shades together. It's nothing too tiny, so it's nothing, you know, like super detailed, but when I'm wanting to diffuse the outer edge, like the very last step, when I want to make sure everything kind of blends out into my foundation, my makeup well, this is a great brush to have. Very soft. Quality of BK Beauty, if you're not familiar with them, is superb as well. Really great quality, holds up well, and just a brush that I use all the time and highly recommend. And then on the heels of that, the Singe Beauty E05 brush is also a great, this one's more of a little blending brush, which you guys know I love little blending brushes, but this works so well to blend out any type of look. It's really detailed and gets in there. Nice taper to it, really nice feel. Kind of reminds me of that tiny little, what is it, the E36 brush, but just like double the size and the thickness, if that makes sense. So, but still kind of gives that same purpose as this one, just a little bit larger. So this can go like super into my crease, in my inner corner crease or wherever I wanted to put a specific color. And then this can come in as a nice little bit bigger to continue blending it out, and it just works so well. E05, very, very nice. All right, the Sigma E30 brush is just a classic for a pencil brush type of eyeshadow. I have many of these in my collection. I really like them. It has more of a taper to it, so it's a bit more pointed. So it's great for placing those colors. Using on my my lower lash line works really well too. It's just a little bit more pointed, so I have to make sure I don't get that point in my eye. I like a little bit more rounded for my lower lash line most times, but it's great for really placing colors. Great quality. I've owned this for so many years. And on the heels of that, let's go ahead and talk about the B2, because this B2 is very similar. It does the same thing as the E30 brush from Sigma, but this one from Blend Bunny Cosmetics nice. Has a rounded tip to it, as you can see, so it's really great for getting in there very detailed work. Like, look how tiny that brush is, but it's very soft, but it has a little bit more of a rounded, not quite so much of a point to it, so it works really well at, you know, working in my lower lash line. So this is something that I really like to use on my lower lash line because it feels nice, it's not pointed, and it doesn't, like, you know, hurt my under eyes. Both of these brushes can, you know, do for that purpose very well, or can, you know, use for more placing colors in other areas too. But for my lower lash line, these are the type of brushes I prefer, the Blend Bunny B2, just because it's nice and rounded, so it's not going to scratch. Okay, if you're wanting to talk about unique brushes, this multitasking detail brush from Smashbox, I believe, is the only brush I have like this. It is a triangle. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but the bristles themselves are cut like a triangle. They come to a point, they have a taper, and I remember when I first got it, I was just like, what do I do with that? Like, I don't know what I would use that for, but I use this in so many different ways. You would be surprised, at least I was surprised, at the type of times this thing comes in handy to have. But my absolute favorite way to use this is for my inner corner highlight. Because of that triangle shape, I'm able to, like, I don't know how to show you, but I'm able to get into the corner of my eye and go around my tear duct very easily with this brush, and I can put, like, color on 2 of the 3 sides and be able to, like, press it down, and then I can kind of turn and keep pressing. I don't know, something about this triangle shape, I just can't get over how often I've used it and how much I love this brush. And like I said, I think this is the only triangle shaped brush that I have, and it's also tiny and detailed, so it comes in handy. It's a brush that, like, when I got it, I didn't think I would ever use it, but it's that one brush that I use all the time, and I'm always reaching for it whenever I'm like, oh, what do I need? Oh, you know what? That triangle brush, that's perfect. I use this so much. It's a multitasking detail brush. All right, another tiny detail brush. This is the R101 brush, very similar to what I just talked about in the, which one was it? The Sigma E30 brush, but as you can see, it's just even smaller. So if you like the E40, but you're always, like, wanting it just a little bit smaller, get the R101, because it's literally the same brush, but tinier. So if you ever need those tinier brushes, this is great. This is fantastic for just hitting that outer corner of my eye, to just put a little bit, like, literally right next to my lash line. Great for inner corner work, great for placing a little bit of color in just one spot. It's fantastic. And I mean, we're talking about tiny detail brushes here. This is a tiny detail brushes that is fantastic. Okay, another brush I really like, it's the What's Up Beauty R101 brush. This is, again, one of those brushes that I love for my outer corner. Let me make sure it's focusing. I'm trying my best. I really hope it's focusing. But this brush right here is one of those brushes I love to use on the outer corner because, again, it has that taper, but it's very flat, so it's great to really place that color on the outer corner, and then using that taper, I can turn it along the side and really blend out the edges. And it's just my favorite outer corner packing brush. This shape, and then the quality of this is so good. R110, I forget if I already said that. R110, this brush is amazing. All right, everyone needs a flat brush to put on sparkle shadow, shimmer shadows, and this from Sigma, Conceal F70. Yeah, it's not really meant for eyeshadow, but the Conceal F70 meant for your face is my favorite brush to put on a shimmer shadow on my eyelid. It is so nice. It's very flat, but it has a great taper to the side, maybe because it's meant to blend in concealer, but that taper picks up shadow so nicely, and then when you place it on your eye, it swipes it on so nicely. I have so many of these F70 brushes in my collection. I can never get enough. I use them all the time, and yeah, it's a great brush. If there's one brush that I would have, if I had to get rid of all my brushes for placing, like, shadow on, like a flat brush for placing shadow or a shimmer on my eye, I would just keep this brush, and I'd be super happy because it is my favorite. All right, Rephr's got some good brushes too. This is the 02 brush. I have no idea. I haven't kept up with Rephr, so I think they're still a thing. I think they still have brushes, but this one is a great packing brush, again, for that outer corner packing brush that I love. It's a little bit bigger, or like fatter than the one I was just talking about. I forget which one it is now. Oh, I got so many brushes in front of me, but it's a little bit bigger and fatter. I think I was talking about which one? I don't know. A little bit bigger and fatter, a little bit fatter this way, but still applies very nicely, still blends really nicely, has a nice taper to it, feels really nice, very, like, nice quality, high quality. A great little brush. It's really short, so if you, like, travel a lot, it's nice to not have huge handles for your brushes, but it's a fantastic little brush. I like it. Okay, getting a little redundant, I feel like, but a lot of these brushes, again, I just have so many of them because they serve that purpose that I enjoy, and having a lot of brushes means that I don't have to wash as much. But this is the R107 brush from What's Up Beauty, and again, a nice little pencil brush. It's not really scratchy. This one comes more to a point like that, what was it? I think E40 brush that I keep talking about. Let me double check. Yeah, E30, not 40. E30 brush, they're very, very similar, as you can see. Just a little bit fatter, I guess you could say, but around, but still serves the same purpose, but it's just nice quality. It's not quite as scratchy as the Sigma, so it's nice for my lower lashes, but overall, great brush. Okay, I don't have many of these duo fiber, but this is a duo fiber blend E41 from Sigma, and I actually enjoy it and use it more than I thought I would. It's great to have one of these, at least in your collection. I feel like if you run it, let me focus my camera back on. Come on, you could do it. I feel like if you run into that occasion where you need it, it's great to have. I use it for blending when I'm trying to blend a shade. It's starting to muddy. I want to be a little bit more careful. Something about the duo-ness of it really makes me just be able to very delicately just blend one specific area so as not to make a mess. And because it's so like small, it's not a big fluffy like flappy, or like not flappy but floppy type of brush. It's very detailed work, and I don't know, it just comes in clutch sometimes when I feel like a look is not going right. I can reach for this, start blending with it, and it's like, okay, I think I saved the look. So it's a brush I like having in my collection. I don't even know if my camera is going to be able to focus well on this little tip because it is so tiny, but this is the L04 brush. I believe it's meant for liners because it's so itty bitty and tiny, but I like using this as a smudger brush if I'm wanting to give that like liner look along my lashes with shadow. This brush is amazing for giving you that line and kind of being able to also blend it out a little bit as you go so it's not too harsh. And also because it's so tiny, it's never too big because I don't like a really thick kind of smudgy look to my liner if I'm using shadow, and I use this brush a lot. But it's also like, yes, it's meant for liner, but this little brush can also come in super handy placing color, again, exactly where you want it, and because it's that pencil shape, it does work well to blend out very carefully. So this is a tiny detail brush that I use a lot in different looks, especially when I'm wanting to go more complex or just more colors in my look. It comes in so handy. Okay, talking about good brushes that aren't so expensive, this is from Profusion, the ES6 brush. I don't know if Profusion still has this. This brush is amazing. The quality of the actual hair, or like the bristles, is fantastic. I love it. And again, this shape, you guys know I love to have it. This is only, I think it was around $5, $6, $7 when I bought it a couple years ago. The only con that I can find is that it kind of NARS packaging feeling when you first get it. After a while, it's starting to get that little bit of tacky feel. So I feel like it's gonna start to be annoying and like catch everything in a bit. But that's honestly the only con. And you could like wrap this with, you know, I don't know, paint it over, wrap it with tape, I don't know, something like that. So once it does start getting sticky, if you don't want to feel it. But the brush itself is amazing. So I have to recommend it. But I just want to be super blunt and say that I feel like the handle's not going to last that long. So if that bothers you, you know, heads up. But I think you can get Profusion at Walmart. So it's nice to have those brushes where you don't have to, you know, order online, or they're not $20 brushes each. This is a little bit, you know, easier to get a hold of at Walmart and whatnot. And it is fantastic for those detail blending brushes that aren't super big, but also aren't super small. So just really great to use to blend out those matte shadows. So I had to mention it. Another great little blending brush from Singe Beauty is the E02 brush. This brush I really do like. It's got a nice little taper to it, but it's not, again, too large like the E40. It's nothing that big. To compare it to what I already talked about, the E05, they're very, very similar. It's just a tiny bit larger and it's more flared out than the E05, if that makes sense. So is it a little bit redundant to have both of these? Sure, maybe, but also if you like to have backups and whatnot, so you're not having to wash your brushes every single time, I feel like both of them are got a place in your collection. If you only want one, like I said, this one is more tapered at the edge and just a little bit fluffier. So if you're wanting more detailed and precise, I go with the E05. Or if you're wanting more diffused blending out, you know, not quite, you don't need quite so detailed, then the E02 is fantastic. All right, next brush we're going to talk about is from Refer again. This is the 13 brush, great little blending brush. It's not too long, so you still have a lot of control over it, and it's very full and dense, and it's got a taper to it, but not too bad, but it also doesn't stop too harsh, if that makes sense. So it just has a really nice base to it. So when you're blending, it's not like it's too, like I said, too much of a cutoff where it doesn't taper nicely, but not so much of a taper that it like comes fully down. I hope that makes sense. But it just works really nice to blend in and blend out those edges to looks. It's very soft, very dense. As I said, great little brush. I have had no issues with it. Super, super nice, and one I would recommend. Okay, talking about flat brushes for applying shimmer shadows. This is the ColourPop E3. Again, I don't even know if ColourPop's still selling brushes, but if they are, the E3 is great. It's very much like that F whatever from Sigma that I was just telling you guys about that I love for placing on that shadow, the F70. Just like that. Here, I can even compare it for you. Here's the two brushes. Very, very similar. I mean, down to the size of the width of them, down to the how big they are, width, depth to them. They're super identical, like literally could be twins. That's how similar they are. Maybe a slight longer and like more compact on the Sigma and not quite so long and compact on the ColourPop, but literally the only difference. So great option. Again, if you don't want to be buying Sigma, I understand it's more expensive. Or if you're already placing a ColourPop order, it's like pop one of these in there if you are curious to, you know, try the Sigma F70. And I think it's, well, it was back then, but it's like $5, so not super expensive. But again, a great little brush for using on your eyes to put that shimmer on. Okay, no idea if NYX still sells this, but if they do, the NYX Professional 42 is a fantastic little outer corner packing brush. I've talked about many literally the same shape as this already, so I'm feeling a little bit redundant here, but this is NYX, so it's more of that drugstore price tag, if that's what you're looking for. And again, so soft. I've owned this one probably 5 years at least. If I might have even bought this in Virginia, which if that's the case, it's like 6 to 7 years. It's fantastic. I love this little brush. It's held up so well. I've washed this so many times. Great for that outer corner, placing on the color and blending. So good. Highly recommend. Speaking of NYX, here's another one, the 14 brush, a flat little packer brush, kind of similar to what we just talked about, but again, it's just a little bit more detailed when you're wanting to press a shadow onto it. So great for shimmer, picking up shimmer and placing it on. And again, I've owned this for so many years. It's a great little brush, the NYX 14. I really hope they still sell these and all the ones I'm talking about, but this is a great brush. Owned it for so long, holds up well. And on the heels of that, again, this is the, Profusion, the ES5 brush, little flat, great little brush. This one's a little bit more smaller, so great for when I want detailed placement of shimmers, but again, it picks up shimmers really well. I love this type of brush, and I'm giving you guys lots of different options of the ones I have in my collection, but this one has held up really well, minus the handle, but the bristles are still kicking, and it's great, as I said, for more detailed blending or detailed placement of shimmers. This one is really nice. Another great brush from Gimme Glow is the G1012. I hope I haven't already spoken about this, but a fantastic little brush for blending out the outer corner. It works really well, blends like a dream. Let me focus this back in. I have no complaints about this brush. Can we focus, please? Come on, look at my finger. Focus on my finger. But yeah, this brush, as you can see, is so detailed, like easy for applying those shadows, and also on your lower lash line. Comes in really handy, holds up well, and not expensive. If I remember, Gimme Glow brushes are not that pricey, so highly recommend. All right, on the heels of that, let's talk about a super expensive one. This is Wayne Goss 20 or 20 brush. If you're wanting a tiny blending brush and you like more expensive brushes, you want something that, you know, is going to last forever, this brush from Wayne Goss has been lasting me so very long. I like it. I use it all the time. However, when I have so many brushes from other brands that come in really, you know, handy, do the same job, it's hard for me to recommend this. However, I can't say it's not a good quality product. Like the quality of the bristles, it's so soft, it's so beautiful, amazing, but it's just a little pricey, so keep that in mind. Okay, what's up, beauty? Let's get back to still pricey, but not too crazy pricey, I think. Again, I'm a little rusty on the prices of all these, but just from memory of when I did get them, this is the R108 brush. Again, it kind of reminds me of what I just talked about with the Wayne Goss, but this is in What's Up Beauty. Great brush, holds up so well, blends things so well on the outer corner, feeling really redundant because you guys are starting to see how much repetitiveness I have in my collection, but I love this type of brush, and this brush, the quality of it is amazing. All right, I don't think I've talked about Sonia Kashuk, but her brushes are really nice. Again, expensive, kind of like the Wayne Goss, but this is the Crease Pro, the one on top, and then the bottom is the Worker Pro, and these brushes are beautiful. I like to hold on to these and use these when I'm wanting to feel extra fancy, or I'm wanting something just a little bit extra, like special when I'm doing, I don't know, when I'm doing my makeup. I don't know. I just save these for like those special occasions or those special looks that I know I'm really going to like and I want something extra fancy. But these, I like that they're not too large, but there's still a little bit of that bigger working brushes. They're not, you know, too super detailed. But when comparing this to the E40, which again, I feel like I'm always going back to just because I feel like it's so well known, you guys can judge the size of it, things well. But as you can see, they're smaller than that. They're more detailed than that. They're a lot more denser, and the bristles are just amazing. They hold up really nicely. They're so soft. I can use these anywhere on my eyes. It's never going to feel scratchy. I love the handle. Everything about these brushes has held up amazing, but they're just very pricey. So this one has a little bit more of a squish to it, so great for the outer corner blending that I like to do. And then this one, the what I say, Crease Pro, great for just blending anywhere on your face that you need blending. This one does it so well. And even this one that I like to pack on, it's got a nice like depth to it. It's very dense and thick. It's got a nice taper to it, so it blends its own shadows and blends whatever I want really well. It works really well as a blending brush or a packer brush. So highly recommend, love both of these. All right, Sydney Grace is still making eyeshadow brushes. I don't know what number this is because they don't number theirs, but this is a flat shadow brush that I use for packing on shimmers, and it's so small. I think it's smaller than all of the ones I've shown you so far when it comes to flat packer brushes, so I love this for very detailed placement of shimmer. If I'm wanting to put a certain color like on the inner part of my lid and then use a, you know, a different color for going farther out, this is fantastic because it's so tiny and detailed and flat and picks up brushes so well. It works amazing. I just wish I could tell you what it was, and I don't know why they didn't place it on the brush, but I have no idea the number. So I don't know, look for tiny little flat brush on their website, but the quality of this is also really nice. Very, very pleased with the quality of the Sydney Grace brushes, and this is one I would definitely highly recommend. Okay, another tiny brush that I love is the Smashbox lip brush. Yeah, it's a lip brush, but I use this for detail work around my inner corner because it's, again, that flat type of brush. I love to pick up you know, shimmer or my highlighter that I'm going to use, and it places it around my tear duct so well. I specifically have to use very detailed brushes around my inner corner because if I get too much shadow or sparkle or even matte shadow in my eye, they will water. So I'm always very careful when I do my makeup to try to not be too messy around my inner corner. So flat brushes like this, detail brushes like this make that job very easy, and I use this one a lot for my inner corner. All right, another Sonia Kashuk. This is, or Sonia G. Did I say Sonia Kashuk on the other ones that were red? Oops. Sonia G. This is a mini booster brush. This is great. I love this little brush. Use it so much. Again, the quality of her bristles are amazing. It's very dense, has a nice taper to it, feels luxurious, feels so soft. Great for more detail blending because it's not too large, and because it's so dense, you can really just take that tip and blend and be able to get a blend without having to press hard. Because it's so dense, it just works amazing, like amazing at blending. Okay, and last up, this is gonna be the last one. This is the Refer 13 brush, another great little blending brush. Really does remind me of the Sonia G just because I was just feeling it, but when I'm touching it, it's just a little bit less soft. Not in a bad way to say it's scratchy, but when you're comparing Sonia G and then you touch this one, you can tell a little bit of a difference, but it is by like a hair. They're very close, and the quality is really, really nice. It's held up well. And again, it's that same type of density to these blending brushes that I love because, again, you could just take the tip, and because it's so dense, you're still going to get an amazing blend by barely touching it because it's just such a fantastic quality brush. You don't need to use the whole thing and blending over and being too rough with it in order to get it to blend. You can just take the tip, and that just gives you a lot of control when you're doing a lot of blending and a lot of colorful eye looks. So this is a brush that I use and love and have in my collection and use it all the time. Okay, I lied. 2 more brushes because I was just about to close it out and I don't think I talked about either one of these. This is the BK Beauty 207 brush, a great little blending brush that's short. It's like a pencil brush, but it's so soft on the tip. It's not pokey. It doesn't come to a point, so great for my lower lash line. Very nice quality, highly recommend. And then I don't think I spoke about this, the G327 brush from Give Me Glow Cosmetics. Again, it's a great little, this one's not a pencil brush. It's more, as you can see, it's got more length to it. So it's great for blending, but it has not too great of a taper, so it's great for like pointed type of blending on the outer corner, and not really anything for placing, but once you place it, then to take it and be able to really work it. It's got a nice dense center, so again, you don't really have to touch it to get it blended out. It works really nice. It's one of those detail blending brushes that I use a lot in my looks. All right, so there you have it. I tried to be brief and I tried to just look over. I still have a lot of brushes, but a lot of these brushes are repetitive. Like I said, a lot of them I have 5 of the same brush in here, so I was trying to look through and only pick out stuff that you know, I hadn't talked about, so I'm not talking about the same brush over and over, and also only tried to pick out those tiny detail brushes that stand out from the rest and that make a difference, you know, that just stand out in my collection. It's like, yes, this is totally worth it. Oh my goodness, I didn't talk about the Singe EO4, I don't think. Singe EO4, I just saw it over here and was like, shoot, this is a great brush. Packer outer corner, amazing. Fitting it in right here at the end because I think I blanked and forgot about it. Okay, I gotta stop looking because then this video will just keep going on and on. But I really tried to focus on those brushes that stand out, that I love, and also focus on brushes that are still available, because there's some brushes that I have that I love, but I know the brand is closed or they no longer sell it anymore, so I tried to skip over those. But anyway, I better have talked about the E33 brush. I think I did. The Sigma E33. Pretty sure I did because I have like 15 of these in my collection. I think that was a repeat. Anyway, we're going to stop it there. We just got to stop it. This is an update to my previous video. I will leave the old video link down below just in case I missed any of the brushes, but I think I still have all the same ones that I talked about in that video. I have them in here, so I should have repeated those. But anyway, it's been so long. Hopefully watching that old video and then watching this one will give you guys some good recommendations. But they're just solid little brushes in my collection, and that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know, what is your favorite tiny detail brush if you could only pick one. I mean, that's mean because I couldn't sit here and just pick one type of brush, because I like different brushes for like my outer corner or my inner corner blending, or blending all the colors together, or placing shimmers on my shadows. So give me your favorite brand when it comes to tiny detail brushes, because if I had to pick a favorite brand when it came to tiny detail brushes, it'd probably be like Singe, because she's got some, or Blend Bunny. They got some great tiny detail blending brushes that I love. Oh, What's Up Beauty also has a lot. Oh, here I am, I can't even pick either. I don't know. Sigma's a great classic. I feel like Sigma's been around so long and great for those decorative, tiny detail type of brushes. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. How about let's just end with that. But anyway, that's going to do it for me for this video. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in my next video. Bye, guys.